Okay, in this edition of the ClickUp administration wiki, we're going to look at setting up a template, kind of how that works, saving that off, and then doing a little automation. So we're going to use the occasion of the current daily newsletter. And the reason that we're going to do that is because we're going to be rolling out next month a newsletter for Heartland Interpretation and Translation, which is a client that we do some back office work for. And then we do a handful of other just marketing stuff for them, including the newsletter starting next month. And that'll be a quarterly newsletter. The newsletter we do for Current Daily is monthly, and the newsletter we're going to do for ourselves will also be monthly. So we'll just use this as a way to set all that up and to lock down the process and the templates that we use for that, and mix in a little bit of automation. So not sure where this came from. I guess this might be a template. Hold on, let's go check and see if this template exists. Let's see. So this doesn't appear to be a template. Current Daily. So this does not appear to be a template. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the template for Current Daily for the client. We'll make it client specific, and then we'll also do a generic version of this that we can layer on specific information. So and examples of that specific information aren't extensive. There's like the newsletter document that we access to just go in and pull together all the different aspects of this. And you can see that. So you can see in September and August where we've got drafts, site links, and external links. Maybe what I'll do is I'll make this kind of go from oldest to newest, and then pop this in here. And clearly that's already been done. So while I don't think it's a template, you've already created this for me, which is handy. So we'll just kind of leave that as is, and then we also have a report link, which includes, it's just basically a spreadsheet, and we'll just populate tabs on that for the balance of the year, and in 2025 we'll create a new one. So we've got a series of subtasks here. I've adjusted the coordinate the data and topic. What that consists of is just reaching out to Current Daily to propose a topic to them. Which is a conversation that you and I have. I give it to you. You reach out to them via email, and then also coordinate the links as well. Pam usually handles that directly, and then I will draft the newsletter. They'll give me feedback on that newsletter. We'll finalize it. Then we'll load all the new data because every month we load in fresh data that they've accumulated based on their business development and recruiting activity or executive placement activity. So we schedule that up, let it rip, and then we send them a report, and then the cycle starts all over again. So we can do this as a template, but we can also just create it we could just set this up as a recurring activity within this newsletter list. And of course, at all times, what we're trying to do is push Current Daily to do additional things like their salary report, which they, we started previously, and then they paused the program to see if we can get that reinitiated. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with this, because this is partially set up, so I'm going to go ahead and just create a copy of this task so that I can replicate it. But clean it up a little bit. And then go ahead and do some things for this so that it'll just make that process easier once we get it deployed. So one of the things that I'm working on is so that whenever the status comes up, it's going to be actually, once we create it, it's going to be in progress. There's no need to claim this. It's really just the activity when it goes live. We just need it there. There's no need for me to claim that. We just need to start working on it. And the challenge, of course, is setting the dates on this and how that works. So I'm going to add like another module to this to cover that specifically in a separate video. And then all these then become pending, right? And then depending on how the communication's working, it may be necessary to just lob out a little message that says the next step is ready to go, so that as we give and go the task, which happens often, we just notify the next person who receives that task to begin working on the next step of it. Okay, so and we haven't added in dates, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to customize this menu that, or this view of the subtasks. It doesn't give you a lot of room to work with. Typically, it's sort of nice to get 3 things in there. You still have to scroll left to right, but there are 3 things that we're really interested in, which is the due date, who is assigned to it, and then we want to check the time tracked. And then we could also go in and just, figure there's a time estimate on this, so that's already set. And I think this could actually be consolidated into that previous task. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and then go ahead and remove the subtask. And you can see there the assignees there, and you can add more items to this, but unfortunately it doesn't really allow you to manipulate this, as far as I know, to either condense those items or to change the order, unfortunately. So it works a little bit differently than the list view in that respect. So I'm just going to check draft the newsletter, giving myself 2 hours. Usually doesn't take that long to get the draft out. It's pretty quick. One of the things you need to bear in mind is that what you're shooting for in all these task setups is the fact that this might be handed off to somebody else in the future. So you just want to, pay that forward. This. Let's call this opt-in data. So in theory, everyone should be opted into the newsletter. They should be aware that they're getting it. And when we get this information, that can just be added into this activity bar here, so the list itself can just be added there. Actually, I think what we might want to do is go ahead and create a folder for these lists as we collect them, because what I've noticed is occasionally they lose track of the data and they like to get it back, and usually I haven't really kept good track of it. So why don't we go ahead and go here and just create a folder for that, so we have that, we have the ability to backtrack, and that's a good policy with data always. And then another good policy when you're doing this is just to, if it's for internal use and we don't think that there's any sensitivity to the content that'll be in the folder, we're not concerned that people are going to go in there and start messing around with it. And this is really just a courtesy that we do anyway. So we'll just copy that link. And then add that to And then what I might do is just go ahead and, just to make it easy for everyone, so the newsletter information is always there in case there's an update or a note that you want to add to it. It's drafting the newsletter. So you can kind of see that whenever we do a task, we want to try to just describe it quickly. It doesn't need to take a long time unless it's a really complicated thing that people might not understand. And then usually at a minimum, there's the task description and the links. As you can see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pick this up from the previous thing in the interest of time. So in this case, you schedule both these, and we'll rip a video on that, how that works. And then, of course, the last thing is sending the report. So we're also going to back up on the time of these, and that'll be in a separate video. So it's basically setting up the task so that we can get ready to create a template out of it, which I'll do in a second video, and then separate video, and then also working on the scheduling for that as well. Hopefully we can build that into the template.